Yeah, so somebody asked me via email earlier today, Cortez, what type of advice would you offer anybody who wants to move and they're just scared, they're terrified, don't know what to do, and hear all these stories and whatnot. I want to try this, but I'm fearful. What advice do you have? So my man, listen. I generally find that fear, and I talked about this in another video before, fear generally comes from lack of clarity or lack of knowledge or lack of information on a particular thing. And so when you don't know or have all the answers or some of the answers, it can tend to cause a little anxiety and cause you to be nervous or fearful, especially when other people are putting stuff in your head and causing these fears. Much of the time, they don't even know any better. They just quoting off something that they heard somebody else say. So first thing I would suggest is that you go do your own research, because once you start to get some answers, then a lot of that fear and anxiety start to go away. What are some of the ways you can go get some answers? There's a bunch of Facebook groups online, particularly depending on what country you want to live in or where you want to go. There's generally a Facebook group or groups for people that are already living in those countries. And you can reach out to those folks. You can post questions in these Facebook groups or forums, asking questions about what it's like to live there and get some real live feedback from people that are actually on the ground, not your mama, not your cousin, not your uncle, not your grandmama, who ain't ever left the state, you know what I mean, but real folk who are actually there. And these folks are so helpful and friendly. They give you all the information. Look up the statistics, look up the crime, look up the data for yourself, and then you'll start to feel better. Oftentimes we overthink stuff, and then the stuff that we're thinking, these thoughts and ideas that we have ain't even accurate, ain't even true. So stop overthinking. And sometimes me and my old lady, we used to go back and forth. Well, I was like, look, don't come to me with what you think. Do you know the answer or not? Because I'm not impressed with what you think. I don't care. I didn't ask for what you thought. You know what I mean? And sometimes you got to be that blunt, because folks will mess your head up, what they're thinking and what they heard, and now all of a sudden you running around scared and fearful. So that's my advice. Don't overthink stuff. Go on the internet. You got a whole internet that got all the information in the world that you want, and you can get live feedback from folks that are actually on the ground in those places. You know what I mean? So I met some folks who sat there and said they planned this trip for 2 years, and I asked them, I was like, why it took 2 years? Because in some instances it makes sense for 2 years, because they might have 2 more years before they retire, or their last kid is in 10th grade and they got 2 more years, they be finishing up school. That's understandable, but I always ask, so why 2 years? Well, I was doing my research and just trying to figure some things out, and I was like, so you good on the money front? You got income? Yeah, I got the income. I mean, I could leave right. I could have left sooner. I could leave right now, but I just wanted to do all. No, sometimes you just gotta go. 2 years ain't even promised to many of you. Some of you just gonna die. I might die tomorrow. I don't know. You know what I mean? But you just gotta go for it sometimes. When you do your research and got the answers, and you know you can pull the trigger and go. I met a girl today, flew in at 1 a.m. in the morning, got here to Merida, Mexico at 1 a.m. in the morning. She's on the Facebook group posting, saying, hey, anybody want to meet up for lunch? And I went and met up with her for lunch. And, the story, I'm going to give you a simple story. She lives in the U.S. and is wanting to come down with her child, and she just wanted to check it out. So she's going to be here for about 4 or 5 days, checking it out. I took her around, showed her around, and she was like, hey, I just want to do some research, make sure it's good for me and my daughter, and and guess what? She liked it. Now she'll probably be coming down here in a month or two. See, that's what I'm talking about. Instead of wondering and trying to determine whether or not it's good, get your behind on a plane and come down here. Now, there's some other folks who don't even need to get on the plane. They come check it out first. They just go. That's how I roll. You know what I mean? But I understand everybody ain't like me. But like this young lady, if you found some places after doing your research and you want to go check it out for a weekend or a few days, get your behind on a plane and go. Don't be listening to mama them. Don't be listening to Uncle John and them. Listen to your own self. Listen to your own gut. Listen to your own intuition. You know what I mean? She done got down here and was just blown away with this place. She was like, wow, better than I thought. You know what I mean? You ain't ever gonna know the answers to these things. And I always go back to the default. What's the worst that could happen? If you get down here and it don't work out, you can take your behind back home and live with your cousin or your mama. That's why I always say, if you're willing to deal with the consequences, then you're good. I'm willing to deal with the consequences of my decisions. The first time we went to Colombia a few years ago, we gave all the stuff away. The wife was like, "Oh, we need to put that stuff in storage." I'm like, "I ain't putting nothing in storage. Well, what if we come back?" I said, "We ain't coming back." Well, you know, so I ain't paying no monthly fee for all this stuff. So we gave everything away, sold everything. Everything we owned fit in about 5 or 6 suitcases. And so then 6 months later, we're coming back to the United States, moving back, because my daughter wanted to graduate, you know, decided she wanted to finish off her last year. And so in Florida at the school, cause the plan was hopefully for her to come join us where we was living, but she wanted to finish up her last year in Florida, senior year. So here we go, coming back. I told you not to sell all that stuff. I told you blah, 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 blah. But again, I am willing to deal with the consequences. And in that case, the consequences required me to buy some more furniture, which I didn't mind. That's the worst that could happen if things didn't work out. Yeah, so I'm good. So now again, I don't expect folk to think like I do and do what I do. And that's fine. You gotta do what works for you. You know what I mean? For me, it was like, just buy some more furniture. But the best feeling that I got when I sold all that stuff and gave all that stuff away was I was no longer tied down to that stuff. I wasn't a slave to that stuff, because folk worked hard, bust their behind to pay for that stuff. And they don't even like the stuff. Don't even use the stuff. They put a lot of that stuff on debt, and then they hadn't even touched the stuff in 2 to 3 years, but they still paying on it and working like a slave. See, the difference with me is, man, you ain't gonna stress me out with this stuff. If it got to a place where I was just stressed and couldn't handle it, because folk be killing themselves, they scared to answer their phone because the creditors might be calling. No. You ain't gonna stress me out. I'm gonna change my phone number. I'll walk out that front door and leave all that stuff behind, because ain't nobody gonna make me lose my mind over some stuff. Now, am I willing to deal with the consequences of the bad credit, not being able to get a house or not being able to get a fancy new car? Yeah, I'll deal with it. Again, you have to ask yourself what consequences you're willing to deal with. I have a high tolerance for risk. I have a high tolerance for that. I can deal with it. I can live with it. And in these 47 years, I done had the best time, the best life. You know what I mean? That's why I try and encourage folks to go, do the thing, whatever that thing is, because, and then ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen if it don't work out? Can you tolerate that? If things went south and I had to move back to move to Georgia and live with my mama for 6 months, you know what I mean? She might not like the idea that I'm moving in her house with these kids, but she'll let me, you know what I mean? Can I tolerate that? Can I stomach that? Yes, I can. If that's the worst case scenario. I ain't ashamed. Y'all gotta go out there for your stuff, man. Go out there for what you want. Go out there for your dreams. You'll find out if you end up in your mama house for 6 months, it'll probably be the best of times. You know what I'm saying? You'll have some storage, you have some memories. It'll be the best of times. You know what I mean? I have no regrets. I lived a good quality life. If I croaked over in my sleep tonight, I'm straight. I'm good. I've done a lot. I'm happy with what I've done. Now, if there are more things I would like to accomplish, absolutely. But I'm straight. If today's the end, I'm good. I'm happy. You know what I mean? That's why with this COVID thing, listen, COVID ain't locking me up in my house. I've been running these streets since this thing started. Now, yeah, I take precautions. I wear my mask. I do what the folks tell me I need to do. Wash my hands. You know what I mean? Because I ain't trying to catch the stuff. You know what I mean? But I just don't believe that, statistically speaking, and I ain't no expert on this thing, the vast majority, overwhelming number of folk recover from this thing. And I'm an optimist like that. I believe if I get it, I believe I'll survive. But I'm gonna go. I ain't gonna let this thing keep me locked up in my house. Fearful. The best thing I've done, the best decision I ever made was deciding never to watch the news again. I don't watch the news. I don't watch it. I don't read. I might read it every now and again online, but I don't read it. That stuff will mess up your head, get your thoughts jacked up, and just put you in a bad place, get you depressed. And no, I don't know what's going on. Folks tell me, man, did you hear about? No, I ain't heard nothing. Well, I don't care. You know what I mean? Because it ain't that serious to me. And you know what? I've been good. My mind has been clear. My focus has been straight. Because that stuff will get you off track. I don't watch that nonsense. I don't watch it. Only thing I watch is my Netflix shows. I like my crime detective shows, mystery shows. What's the name of them other shows I be watching? Them gladiator type shows. Now, the news can't do nothing for me other than stress me out and make me paranoid and scared to go out my front door. That's about the only thing the news is good for. They in the drama business. The business of creating drama to keep you glued to the TV so advertisers to pay more money. That's their job. If they ain't creating drama, then they ain't making no money. Once you understand the business model that they got, then you understand they ain't out for you. They out to create drama. The longer they can keep you scared and fearful and divided and fighting, the more money they make. That's the formula. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's going on. I don't care. If something pop off that I need to know, somebody let me know. Hey, Cartel, there's a hurricane coming, and they expect it to be a Category 5. You might want to start packing your stuff. Then I'm gonna go. You know what I'm saying? But folks will let me know when something popping off that's important. So I don't pay attention to any of that stuff. So don't overthink stuff. Don't when you start getting scared, you remember you're scared because you don't have the facts. You're scared because you don't have the information. You have all this anxiety because you're lacking clarity on something. Go find the answer. Find it so you can feel comfortable. The more information you have, the better off you're gonna be, the better you're gonna feel about your decision. Because everywhere I've researched about where I wanted to go, I felt confident.